because we all have challenges and we all go through a lot of shit in life. And there are days when we're not okay. And I think that the secret of living a good life is to always remember when we have those days that we're not okay, you know what? We're okay.
Voices of the Goddess.
Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Goddess, where brilliant women come to take a break from their successful and sometimes overwhelming lives to level up, live free, and create abundance.
If your hectic life has you feeling a bit lost, if you're building your career, brand, or business, or if you simply want to get the most out of life, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Julietta Wenzel, founder of Body and Soul PT and Soul Candy.
And I'm your co-host, Graciela Laurent, professional portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding.
Whether you're relaxing with a cup of coffee or running around town, we've got you.
Whatever you're doing, thanks for bringing us along and sharing a laugh.
Here comes the magic.
We are live again.
We are live.
I am feeling so energized today. You know, I've been doing a lot of my Reiki practice and a lot of my centering, and maybe it's the cacao too, but bam, I hope you guys are out there running and jogging and working today because I am ready.
You know what? I find that interesting. And now that you've entered into my realm of working, you know, with energy with people, I always find it interesting because people ask me all the time, like, doesn't it drain you? Like, don't you feel tired? And it's actually quite the opposite, because if you're doing it right, you're not using your personal energy. You're using the energy from the universe. And so you're actually bringing more energy into you and flowing through you. And, you know, occasionally there's a client that's, you know, a little bit heavy and, you know, like, and I'm talking like on an energetic level, sometimes that can drain a little bit, but for the most part, you know, like I can work with clients all day long and just be like excited and full of energy. So
it's really, that was one of the more surprising things for me. And I feel it actually makes me feel really good about my growth as a human being, right? Because when I was young and I used to teach high school, you know, I had interaction with 250 people every single day, and I would bring all that home with me. I think I cried probably every single day, if not 3 days a week, you know, just over, it was probably energy now that I think back on it. But in the moment, I really thought, wow, it's just everybody has like their own stories and they were so tragic. And, you know, I felt like I was holding on to everything. And now, you know, 500 years later, full of gray hair, I do these Reiki sessions and I feel so much better. So, you know, just having that energy go through me is so crazy. And so did I tell you about that, like how I want to seek a sound certification? Did I tell you that story yet?
You've mentioned it a little bit, but tell me more.
Well, you know, we've done breath work, and every time I have like a sound bath type of situation with the gongs and the different sounds, you know, we have BB, our favorite songstress, you know, and just, I really love it. So I decided, probably about 2 months ago, maybe now, that I wanted to pursue this. And you know me, I love a good certification. Like I trust my intuition, and I want to know the things I don't know. So I love signing up for courses. I love books. Anyway, I found this one particular person who teaches. It's like part of a school. And I look on the website. There are literally 15 dates, all of 2023 and 2024. When I tell you that every single date was booked on my calendar, I was busy. I had something to do. There was a wedding. I was out of town. We're planning whatever. I could not get into this person. And so I would keep going back day after day. Like, is there a new date? Did something move? Anyway, I was just trying so hard. And finally I was like, okay, maybe this is the sign, Graciela. Like, maybe you need to stop searching so hard. And sure enough, as soon as I sat back, boom, up on Facebook pops someone else that I had been looking at as a potential educator. I had been to her class. It's a husband and wife couple. And guess what? The exact dates that they're available, I'm available. And the price is perfect. And the dates are perfect. And just, it's alignment. Isn't that crazy? But not crazy, right?
Right. And what I love is that because someone else could have like taken it like if they had been looking for this class and like none of the dates worked out, they could have taken that as the message like, oh, I'm not meant to do this. But instead, like you remained open and it's like maybe you weren't meant to do it with that particular instructor, but a different instructor showed up and everything just flows. And I think that's important, you know, when we're looking at everything in our life, like if there's no flow, like what, pause and take a breath and look at what does this mean? And, you know, sometimes I think the universe tests our commitment, but sometimes the universe is like, no, don't go this way, go that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, the lesson that I keep getting over and over and over again is that the more attachment I have to any one thing, the harder it is to hang on to it, right? The more I release, the more I let it flow, the closer to me it becomes. You know, I always talk about this in reference to like my relationship with my partner. You know, we're not married, but we've been together 18 years and it is the closest, best relationship I've ever been in. And I always say that it's like holding a butterfly. If you try and hold a butterfly with a closed hand, you'll kill it. But we feel like we hold each other with an open hand, and that creates all the difference for us. So anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Listen to your intuition, go with the flow, feel good. That's where the answers are. Life is supposed to be pleasurable. Even when it's not so happy, you're still supposed to feel okay.
All right. Are you ready for our guest, Graciela?
I'm so excited for our guest.
Me too. Here we go. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Hey there, Julieta, and hey there, Graciela. Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Listen to that voice, folks. You are welcome. I hope you slow down that audio, play that back. What a smooth voice.
Can I say something before we even get into what you girls want to say?
Absolutely.
It's funny, you were speaking about flowing, and I posted something yesterday, and it's something which I say to a lot of my students in the martial arts all the time. I tell them, stop trying. So they say, Eddie, what do you mean? They don't call me Eddie, they call me Sensei, but that's bullshit, you know, Japanese titles. What do you mean stop trying? We have to try. I say, no, you're trying too hard. Stop trying. Just flow with it. Just make mistakes. Yeah. So I really, the words that you were saying, Graciela, resonated very deeply with me. I think
appreciate that.
All of life is a matter of, you know what? Another two things now that I think of it. It's about not being attached to anything. You were speaking now about the man in your life who you're together with 18 years. And I was together with my first wife. We weren't married either. We were common law, and we were together for 18 years. That's just, you know, side note. But one of the main and maybe the most important thing, and this is not me speaking now, I'm just, you know, handing over wisdom from the ages, is not being attached to anything. The more you want to rein the horse in and keep him at home, the more he's going to want to, you know, run out. So I think that was very profound, and I really connected with that. And I connected with one more thing. Even when things aren't okay, you're supposed to be okay. Now, take off the word supposed to, and then we're okay. You're not supposed to be anything. And if I'm not okay, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
But I want to take 30 seconds and tell you about the story of the old Zen master. All the students used to come in the monastery in China many, many years ago. And early in the morning, they would stand on line to honor their grand master, the old Zen master. And he would stand, and they would all come and bow to him. And they would say, good morning, Grand Master. How are you today? And he would look at everyone and he would say, thank you, my son. I'm fine. And that was the ritual of the morning. Well, a couple of months later, a new kid comes to the monastery, and he's online, and he's, you know, they tell him what to say to the Grand Master, and he bows and he says and everything's fine. And he comes back the next day and he bows and he asks the Grand Master how he is. And he says, you know, his line, I'm fine, or I'm okay. Anyway, this goes on for 2 weeks. This kid must have been a rebel like me. So after 2 weeks, in the morning, he bows. He asks the Grand Master how he is. And the Grand Master says, I'm okay. And the kid turns to leave. He's about 12 years old, and he can't. And he turns to the grandmaster and says, "Excuse me, grandmaster, please can I have permission to ask you a question?" So the old master looks at him with "Please, my son, ask whatever you would like." So the kid is like feeling really uncomfortable. He says, "Excuse me, grandmaster, please, maybe it's not for me to ask. But every morning we come and we ask you how you are, and you say you're okay." And the grandmaster says to him, "Yes." Now the kid's like, he doesn't know how to say it, but in the end, he gets it out, and he says, "Grandmaster, aren't there any days which you're not okay?" And so the old master looks at him for, what seems to the kid like eternity. And then with a twinkle in his eye, he says to him, "Yes, yes, my son, there are days like that. And in those days, I'm also okay."
Beautiful.
And that for me is a beautiful story, because we all have challenges and we all go through a lot of shit in life. And there are days when we're not okay. And I think that the secret of living a good life is to always remember when we have those days that we're not okay, you know what? We're okay. Sorry now for talking so much. Usually I listen
no.
more and I talk less.
Eddie, you've come to the right place for talking, let me tell you. You know what's really interesting is I'm looking on my computer right now, and it's December 11th and it's 11:11 a.m. I'm just saying. But before we get any further, let's give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them who you are, what you do, and what keeps you passionate about what you do. We're all about the love. We're all about the passion.
Okay. Passion is a good word. My name is Eddie Lindenbaum. I'm 65 years old. I was born in New York. I currently live in Israel for the past 50 years. I've been 40 years, if I may say, in all humility, I've been a successful entrepreneur and a businessman. I've been in the fashion world for 40 years. I'm a martial arts. Some people say master. I don't like those terms. I teach the martial arts. I have the honor to hold a 7th degree black belt in one of the most extreme combat-oriented Israeli martial arts. I'm a teacher of meditation and the spiritual path. I've been on that path for more than 20 years, going very, very deep into the non-dual. And by the non-dual, just so our audience maybe can understand, like the Tibetan Dzogchen and Mahamudra, the Japanese Zen, the Chinese Tao, the Advaita from India, the mystic parts, which mainly have to do with training the mind. And I've been teaching, instructing, coaching, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, people since I've been in military service. I've been an instructor, a drill sergeant, as well as a tank commander in the Israeli Defense Forces. So I was teaching new recruits and instructing and things like that. And in my business, I was always teaching teams. And after a long, long career in the business world, one day I woke up and I realized that, hey, Eddie, you've done enough for yourself and for your own family. It's now time to give to others, but to make it, that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. And that was 4 years ago. And I woke up one day and I said, Eddie, you're a coach. You want to coach people. You want to help people, explode. You want to help people live the fullest they can. Because I've been doing that all my life, but like from word of mouth and never for any money. But now I left the business world. I invented myself. I branded myself. And I've had amazing luck. Oh, and what I didn't say is, in the business world, it's more luck than anything else, for me at least. I would say 98% great luck, 1% hard work, and another percent maybe knowing a little bit for that 1%. But I think in life, you need a lot of luck, and I was very lucky. In the same way, I'm very lucky to be here right now.
1% hard work. Eddie, sign me up right now.
No, that's because it's 98% luck.
Well, isn't luck meeting what preparation meets opportunity? Isn't that what they say luck is?
Yes. I think luck is also timing, knowing when to give it your best shot, knowing when to double down on things, and knowing when to cut your losses. Because everybody who's been in business, anybody who's an entrepreneur, you know that you make mistakes. I make mistakes. I've made much more mistakes than any successes that I've had. But I've been very lucky that the mistakes have been a little smaller than once in a while a big success. Once in a while. So I've been very lucky. And you asked me what's my passion. My passion is to push people past their limits and to show them that there's no fucking limitations, that the only limitations are here in their minds. And when you see any human being, and we'll get into women in a moment if you want to go there, but when you see any human being pushed past what they think are their limits, and you know what, even past their own limits, real limits, and then that is something which I don't even know why, but touches me enormously, to be privileged. And I really see it as a privilege. It's like a calling to have the ability to push people and see them transcend. These are big words, but
They're beautiful words.
I mean, to see somebody breaking through what limited them and having some sort of insight, which their whole fucking world changes then. And for me, that, you see, even now, the camera can't see it. Yeah, maybe you can. My hairs are on edge because it really touches me. By the way, if I start crying here, don't worry about that.
Oh, again, you're in great company. I'm a professional. You can ask my audience. Every stage, I'm cursing and crying. Those are my two big claims to fame. So no wonder your agent put us together. She knows exactly.
I'm also today happily married to a goddess myself, so I feel very, very comfortable in the company of goddesses.
And the show, the show started shortly after the pandemic, and I actually had a different co-host at the time, but it was for women, primarily women entrepreneurs, and how could we support each other and lift each other up. And, but then the pandemic passed, but the messages that were coming through the show were just so beautiful that we are keeping the show going. My co-host had to retire, and Graciela gratefully, so grateful that she stepped up so that we could keep going here. But you
mean Graciela with the silver hair there, right? That's what she was talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I listen. Be careful.
Experience right there,
Yeah.
Right.
But the interesting thing is, like, on YouTube, we're following our stats, and we actually have more listeners on YouTube that are men that are men than women. And, so the show is really for everybody, about everybody. And, we do primarily have female guests, but we love having our male guest on there as well to bring some balance to the masculine and feminine here.
And I would say that our message is always it's the human condition, and those are the things that we all feel and that we all go through. As a photographer, I shoot a lot of intimate portraits, and men or women, and, like anyone, it doesn't matter how you identify or how you live or whatnot. Every human has that. I love so much how you were talking about that transformation, because it's like this big experience, and to see someone come in a certain way and then leave a different way, it's magical. It's incredible. Like, you're really talking my language. Yeah.
Well, that's an honor for me there, Graciela and Julieta. What you said about having more men than women and having the right energy between the masculine and feminine is something that's very, very common to my world also. So that resonates with me, the energy, because if I may say, I'm going to tell you now a little secret which nobody else knows. I love working with women. And if I had to choose between, don't get me wrong, I work great with guys. I'm like a guy's guy. But when I have clients, Give me a high-performing women CEO, entrepreneur, a woman on a big mission, a woman founder. Give me her any day over a guy's in the same position, any day. And I've had amazing experiences with women because women are different. Guys have well, at least here in Israel also, because Israel is a very macho country in many ways. So when you sit and you work, let's say, with a CEO of a big company, you have to go through all the levels of armor and ego and me and, this guy shit. And women are much more sensitive. And the type of women that I guess I connect to, and they connect to me, are women who have a very powerful masculine side, and they are very aware of it. Because we all have feminine and masculine. I mean, that's who we are. Sometimes it's a little bit, and everybody has their own balance. There is no such thing as 50-50. That's wrong. You can be 70-30, and that's your balance.
We just said that last night. Literally just last night, we had the same exact conversation. Yep.
So I take that as a huge compliment. That means that I'm thinking like the great minds here who I'm talking with.
Oh, Eddie, compliments will get you everywhere. Go on.
I want to ask a question, though. I'm just super curious, listening to you speak. You have your military background and your combat martial art background, and then you have the spiritual side. And how do you find the balance in that? How does that work?
Julieta, that is a fantastic question. And I'm not saying this now to suck up to you. Really, that is the $1 million question. And it's a process, I believe, of also of evolution. But what has to be understood, if we take the world of the martial arts, and we're talking about, let's say, a full contact combat system, not something like beautiful up in the air style, kicking the air. We're talking about kicking somebody in the face. We're talking about, going all out. And you get up on the mat to fight somebody who could be your closest friend or somebody else in the dojo, in the training hall. Or it could be if you're in competition, you get up to fight somebody in competition. The thing is that the person who really you are dealing with is yourself. Because what people at a lower level don't know, and you start understanding that when you get to higher ranks, that everything in the martial arts is spiritual. You're always dealing with yourself. You get up to fight, you're dealing with your own fears, your own insecurity. How do I look? Are they going to be making fun of me, the guys on the side? Is this guy going to hurt me? I mean, he's much better than I am. Or the opposite. Who the hell is he? Hey, I can eat him up for breakfast. And then you get kicked in the head because you came in like a big shot. So basically, the spiritual path or I'll say it differently, the way of the martial arts, the Budo, do is way in Japanese, Bu is war. But the way of the martial arts is actually the spiritual way at the highest level. So it complements. It's funny, I was 4.5 years ago, I was in a intensive. I was invited to an intensive by a friend of mine, a coaching intensive in San Diego. And one of the women asked me what I do. And I was listening to her in the background, and she was very, she was talking very loudly, and she was very, I don't know, I felt like challenging her a bit. That happens to me. So I said very quietly, I said, I teach people how to kill, and I teach people how to heal. And that threw her. And then we became the best. At the beginning, she was fighting with me because she didn't like, my type, this guy type. There are women who hate me. Honestly, that's okay. I try not, to make it happen if it's up to me, but I'm not going to change. And she hated me at first sight. And then afterwards, we sat down and we talked, and we became very, very good friends because I explained to her what I do. I teach people how to kill in self-defense, and I teach people how to heal and how to heal others. So I think that's a very important thing in life.
I've seen a lot where the most gentle, most patient, most centered people are the people that know exactly how to kill you in 1 second. Like those that carry the biggest, it's almost like, I don't want to say responsibility, but ability. Those, when
No.
you have such a big ability, you have to know how to carry that, right? So when you see folks that are very loud and they're very threatening and all of those things, those are not the people to be afraid of. It's the quiet guy in the corner who's just letting everything play out. That's the guy,
Right.
Right.
And if it's on the street, you have the guy who says nothing, but he looks at you and he goes like this. And from that moment, you better start watching your back. How you doing there, Julieta? You find this amusing, huh? I see that little smile there.
So, well, and what you also were talking about, this woman that hated you, I love hearing the outcome of the story, because oftentimes, we find these people that we don't like, and then we never give them the chance to find out that maybe we could be wrong about somebody. And, one of the favorite things that ever came out of my mouth that Graciela loves to share is I say, love what you want to hate. And, there's so many depths to everything. And being able to give the opportunity for your perspective to shift on anything, I think is so important.
That's because we're so caught up in our perceptions, in our own thoughts. And we latch on, we attach ourselves to our thoughts. And they are nothing but thoughts. No more, but no less, but only thoughts. So when you really do the deep, deep inner work and you realize you're not your thoughts, then I don't know if the word is easier, but things are different then. So anger comes up, but it doesn't carry you away. You're not the anger. There is anger, but it has nothing to do with me. And the same thing, if you don't like somebody, then okay, that's a thought. I'm aware of that. I feel maybe dislike. Doesn't mean anything. And then you continue relating to the other person. That's all.
I like your use of the language too. We talked about this, I don't know, previous recording, but in English, we have this horrible habit of saying something like, I'm angry. I am angry. No, I might be feeling anger at the moment. I might be experiencing it, but that's not what I am. And I think, words are super powerful in how we use them. And so just how you were talking about that, you used beautiful language that you didn't attach. When we say I am, we attach to it. And not attaching to things is so important. And
if I may add to what you're saying, Julieta, because that is beautiful. And that is like in Jewish, we say the emes, that's the truth. But I would like to take that one step further. When you know what that I is that you use so offhandedly, I am angry or I am, when you know what that I is, you come and you tell me. That's why I say there is anger. I don't feel anger because I don't know what this I is. I don't even know what this Eddie is. I mean, we're going a little bit high here or deep or whatever you want. But I mean, that's something which I've been immersing myself for more than 2 decades already.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, like it is important to have these types of conversations, The other thing that Julieta, I like quoting that she says all the time is, if everyone would just love themselves, all of our problems would be resolved.
Yes.
So it is incumbent upon us to have these conversations and to point out, what you mentioned earlier about once you have this awareness, right, that thoughts are just thoughts and feelings are just feelings, and not being okay is okay, right? Like I always say, I love the human condition. I want to experience the full breadth and depth of all the emotions and all the experiences available to me in this human form. And I have to have an awareness of that, right? Like it's not just being it's having an awareness that these things can be separate from me and that's okay. That's it's just such clarity, it's such lightness, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm sure your clients go through that. Don't they feel lighter at the end? Like, I hope.
I don't know if the word is lighter,
Okay.
because maybe I'm going to say something a little bit before that, if I may, with your permission. I find, and very much, I came back from a month in southern Florida recently, 3 weeks ago I came back. And if there's one thing which strikes me very much in the United States, everybody is seeking. They're always seeking. We're always trying to think and to conceptualize and to feel, and we're always seeking. And I say this very clearly, there comes a time in life which you have to stop seeking. And it's more important to live and not to always think that you need to be something else, or you need to learn something else, or something is missing. And again, with your permission, I'll bring that back to the martial arts. It's the same journey in the martial arts. At the beginning, as a young kid, you come in, you do what the fucking hell the instructor tells you, and you shut your goddamn mouth and don't ask questions. Just do it. You're not in a position to ask questions. Don't be a smart aleck. Just learn the technique. Just do it. And you do it, and you do it, and you learn, and you learn. And then when you're a little bit older, comes a time when you already more or less have the technique, and then you start asking questions to the sensei, to the master. Why do we do it this way? And maybe what happens if this or that? And that is fine, because that's deepening the practice. And the next level, when you have your own style, we never have things down pat. We're never good enough. But when, we're at a level that more or less we know what's going on, which is black belt, maybe first, second degree, then we, in my opinion, this is only my opinion now, I think we should expand and extend our horizons into other arts and learn other approaches to combat. Again, this could be also in the academic world, same thing, but I'm taking it from the martial arts. So if you're a karateka, if you do karate, maybe go learn Muay Thai from Thailand, learn judo a bit, learn Filipino martial arts, learn grappling on the ground a bit. Doesn't mean you have to be an expert, but cross-train, learn other things, challenge yourself constantly. In other words, go and keep seeking, okay? Then go and seek and learn and learn and learn and learn as much as you can. And then you arrive one day. And not everybody, you know what? Most people don't arrive. But if you do arrive, you arrive at a certain moment in which you understand. And that's also with the spiritual practice. And then whittle away. Start getting rid of everything. Everything. Throw it out. Throw everything out that doesn't work for you or is not truthful for you. And then you are left with the core substance, the most pure substance, which works for you and in which you can believe in. And that is maybe the level of the master. In the Tao, the Chinese Tao, the Tao Te Ching, there's a beautiful line, which I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. The master, upon not doing, achieves all.
Beautiful.
So I think maybe there comes a time in life which we have to stop seeking and stop learning more and more and more and reading more books. And maybe we didn't get that book, and maybe we're missing out. We're not missing out on anything. That's the mind playing tricks on us, thinking we should be different from what we are. Be as you are, for you are already that. Simple. And yet, not easy.
It's a lifelong practice, isn't it?
Right. But sometimes we need a smack in the face to wake us up and say, hey, enough with the conceptualizing, enough with this bullshit. Just feel it, just live.
Well, that's why we have things like this and communities like this, so we can talk to each other and remind each other, like, hey, snap out of it.
And that's why I am so honored and happy to be here and to be invited by you girls. Really.
Well, we're super excited to have you. And I am a knowledge seeker person, and I am a reading person, and I cannot let this podcast pass without asking you the question that we've asked in every single episode, which is, and I know it's going to be hard to just say one, but what book would you like to share with our readers that you think is like a really great book? My fantasy is to have just a library of every recommended book all in one place, even just to feel it. Like, even if we never read it, I just want to feel it.
I have my books behind me here. Most of them I gave away over the years, but I left the ones that are really important for me, which I don't read them anymore. But I like to know, but I've read them back and forth, each book, so many times. I once was a very, very big reader. I don't read anymore. I'm busy speaking with people. That's more important, and listening to people. But if there is one book which I think has helped me, along with the greatest masters who I've had the honor and good fortune of meeting in my life, and I mean this very deeply, along with my masters, there's a book by one of the masters. He doesn't know he's one of my masters. He passed on already, and he wrote a book which is called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying by Sogyal Rinpoche. I've read every word, I've listened to every word also that he himself has ever put on the air in any form in cassettes. 25 years ago, I would walk around, listening on Walkmans or whatever we had there in those days. I mean, I'm 65, maybe we have somebody listening who doesn't know what the hell a Walkman is, but that's fine. No.
Google it,
Yeah.
people. Google it. Yeah.
Right. But I think that book has given me the ability to understand even more the spiritual path and the workings of the mind. The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying by Sogyal Rinpoche, which is coming from the tradition, the highest mystical traditions of the Tibetan Buddhism, the diamond tradition, they call it, which is the Dzogchen and the Mahamudra, the more mystical traditions. Because I myself find the Tibetan tradition fascinating, and I've really immersed myself into it, not as any religion whatsoever, but as a way of life, of living with less stress and suffering less. And what a lot of people maybe don't know, and this, if anybody's listening, in the West, we've made amazing advances in science, in technology. We've reached the moon. I mean, we've done amazing things in the West. And you go to the mountains of Nepal, of Tibet, in the Himalayas, and they're sitting there in their caves for the past centuries. They know nothing about all these technologies, or at least until maybe a decade or two ago. However, the same advances that we made in technology in the West, they made even bigger advances, but they made the advances inwards, into themselves, into their minds. And those are the greatest sciences, which only from the 50s, the West has the opportunity to learn and to understand. So I think we're very privileged in that. And now I've talked too much.
Never.
Never, not in any way, not in any way at all. And it's funny because I have that book at home. I have it on my highest bookshelf, where I keep all my Buddhist stuff at the top. So I thank you for bringing that back up again. It's good to refresh and just dive in. So I'm gonna, and I know we are running short on time, and I'm a talker too. So Julieta's gonna pull me off stage any minute now. We cannot cut it. We must carry on. We have our big list of questions, but I feel like you've given us so much good advice. I'm just going to be selfish and ask you something for myself. listening to you, and I know you keep saying you're 65, I'm 49, I got a little bit more to go. One of my personal challenges is carving out the time to be able to do this type of inner work. I would love to sit in a cave. I would, so I have developed a practice of like waking up at 5:30, doing my reading, my meditation, my journaling, my thing, right? Like I'm right. Okay. So
Graciela, shut the fuck up.
Yes.
help me,
Honestly.
Mr. Wizard. Help me, Mr. Wizard. Where do
You see, you're off track. You don't need to be in a cave. You don't need a goddamn journal. You don't have to wake up at fucking 5 o'clock, and you don't have to sit in ice baths. You can be in Manhattan in the rush hour. You can be in Mumbai in the slums. You can be in Firenze in the Termini, which is the train station, at 4:30 in the afternoon. It's here. And once you cultivate your awareness, there is nothing else to do. You do not have to do anything. You see, really, the ultimate awareness is not doing anything. It's just to be aware of your own thoughts and to be aware of really what is going on and not what I think is going on. And then I can be much more relevant to do what is needed at this moment. So maybe if Julieta needs me to help her neighbor cross the street at this moment, hey, Eddie, can you do this? Can you help out? Yeah, that's relevant. I help out. Afterwards, I sit and I rest. And then something else will come up, which might be relevant. And if there is nothing else, then I rest. And then we are much more centered. So there's no need for all the bullshit around. And that's what people don't understand. You don't have to wear white, flowing robes and speak softly. And
see, Juliet, I don't have to speak softly. Thank you for that.
And you don't.
I can say fuck and still be okay, right?
Of course. And you don't have to eat quinoa and all this. And you can eat red meat, and you can, I'm not going to, on this podcast, give you some experiences that I've been through, because I want your listeners to stay on the channel. I mean, I walked on the wild side in my life, and I mean the wild side. And on that wild side, you will be really amazed. Not only amazed, you won't believe me. I've had some of the highest spiritual feelings on the wild side. And somebody who comes from a practice in which you have to do this and do that, and it has to be this way and it has to be that way. Hey, to hell with all that. It's all here and here. It's just to be and to be aware and to live full out and to be as you are. So we can be the gentlest people, and we can curse all day long and be strong and be as well. And that has no contradiction, because we are like diamonds. We have all the different, and maybe, I know we're late. So if I can have one more moment, Julieta, I'm asking here. I know you're smiling at me. I mean, okay, what is he going to say?
We're good.
But if I may share one of the most profound insights for me. I went through a lot in life, a lot. And all my life, I could not understand who I am. How can I be this extreme and that extreme? How can just to give you an example, how can I, coming from a religious family, a Jewish religious family, find myself with people who are the exact opposite, and in all kinds of situations and all kinds of things? And for many years after I achieved some results with God's help in my life. And I always attributed it. I always thought it was even though all these different sides, the split personalities within me. And a few years ago, I understood something, which was really a life-changing insight. It's because of what I went through. It's because of all the different sides, like a diamond. The most beautiful diamond is the one which is cut with many facets, and the light breaks and gives the diamond its beautiful inner beauty. And that's how we are as human beings, all of us, not Eddie, all of us. And when we understand that God put us here as human beings, perfect, with no need to change. Now, I don't mean if we harm people. No. I mean, that's, not to harm. But there is no need to be different. And we have to rejoice and celebrate ourselves. And that goes to what you were saying, Graciela. I think you said it, is we don't have to love ourselves. And in my darkest hours, when I went through a lot of really serious challenges, my great master Jonathan, who I met, my spiritual master, I have two masters today, my grandmaster in the martial arts, who's 85, and Jonathan, my spiritual master, who's a little bit younger. And he would tell me, Eddie, he's English. So he would look at me in this English way, and he would say, Eddie, be gentle with yourself. And that's, see, that touches me.
Yeah.
Because we're not gentle with ourselves.
Woo! Look at Graciela crying over there.
Yeah, I have tears in my eyes also.
Pass out the tissues. But beautiful, beautiful message. And I hope people are really not just hearing it, but feeling it. Because, yeah, it's a message to be felt.
May I end with one note? Last sentence.
One.
One sentence. May I, and if it's presumptuous of me, then tell me, Eddie, fuck you. No, seriously. I mean, this is not for anything. We're not doing this. We're just here to give value to people. But I would like to give both of you a gift because you honored me in having me here. I would like to give you a gift. If you would like to get on each one individually, I would like to gift you to have a session together.
Beautiful.
To go deep.
Yeah.
And it'll be my honor if you would like. So please, send me it afterwards by email if you like. And if not, that's fine. I don't mean it in any way to be presumptuous, but it's something which, I like to give back. And I feel that I've been given here, that I'm here. I'm able to give value to the world because that's what I'm into these days. I've had enough of myself. I don't need anything anymore. So I would like to thank you very much. And now I'm going to shut up.
Well, Eddie, you are definitely living your life's purpose. And I'm never at a loss for words, and you got me today. So thank you very much for living your authentic life and for sharing your complete self with our audience. You're a gift. I accept your gift. I will be calling you immediately. And I hope we do this again.
It'll be my honor and pleasure, Graciela. I want to thank you, Graciela, and Julieta. I want to thank you so much. Your smile there on the side, you're on my left side. But your smile there has given me, and I'm saying this very honestly, your smile there, because I feel you, has given me the power to talk and to say it the way it is. I mean, Graciela brings things out in a different way, but you're sitting there and I see that smile and nodding, and that's very important. And I want to thank you for that. I can feel the positivity. So thank you for that. And thank you, Graciela, also.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and definitely connect with us. Check out the show notes on how to connect with Eddie, and love, just love. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today and keeping us in the top 10% of podcasts in the world.
Ask us how you can promote your business on this podcast as a sponsor, and make sure you check out the show notes for details on how to get in touch with Julieta, Graciela, or today's special guest.
We're sending you lots of love and gratitude. Have a magical day.